Hello and welcome back to AR77. Now, off the back of my last video, which was the comparison video between the Springfield Armory mil-spec and the Colt Classic 1911, both 1911s, one of you posted a query, and it's not the first time I've been asked it. It was if you didn't already have one and you only bought one 1911, which would it be? And as I said before, I've been asked that quite a lot. And I've also been asked a similar question, which is your favourite? So in this video, I'm going to try and answer both of those questions. If I didn't own any, as a 1911 fan, which would I buy? And of the ones I've got, which is my favourite? Maybe you'd think that would be the same answer to both those questions. I did a video a long time ago about which I thought the best was. And as you'll see from that video, if you ever saw it, this is a difficult sort of question to answer. So I'm not going to be held to a definitive answer here, and you'll see why as we sort of move through. But I'm going to try and answer it as best as I can. The truth is we're spoiled for choice when it comes to replica 1911s, and that's partly where the problem lies. There are some that aren't available yet that I'd love to see. If somebody could come up with a kind of a replica airgun version in 4.5mm. You've got the, well, I'd love to see a full blowback Defender style pistol or Defender sized pistol in nickel, something like what I'm showing you there. You could probably get those in airsoft versions, so I might have to look into that. Kimber Custom 2 is another 1911 that I really love. You can almost kind of assimilate that kind of look with a bit of part swapping between some of the guns that are available. And the Smith & Wesson E-Series 1911s with their sort of fish scale grips on the slide, beautiful guns, and there's loads of fantastic options. But here's how I'm going to work through the process for the sake of the video today. So I guess I'd want a fairly true to life replica. So the first question you've got to ask are, what are the defining you hear my voice just crack then getting quite emotional. What are the defining characteristics of a 1911 style pistol or of a 1911? And I would say the look, I would say the profile, the sort of the handsome looks of the gun. We're going to kind of focus on the 5-inch version today because that's where you got the most amount of choice, certainly in 4.5mm. So the look is a big part of it. I would say the fact that it's a single action, single stage trigger, I think that's important for it to be a decent replica of a 1911. Obviously, there's that floating barrel design by John Browning. That's fundamentally a big part of the 1911. You know, it was one of the things that was copied so frequently in subsequent gun designs by other manufacturers, and certainly the initial design of the 1911 and the 1911A1, as you've got here, was that sort of the element of transferable parts that you can swap between guns, so that you could take this apart. Let's say you're in the army and you were given one of these, you could take it all apart, throw all the parts in a barrel or a bucket or whatever, wash them, and then put it back together. And it wouldn't matter which gun the barrel came from, or which gun the bushing, came from. They would all go back together because it's kind of a universal parts. So that's kind of what I would say is fundamental to a 1911. You might differ from me there, you might disagree. And that's fine. I'm all about discussion. But what that does mean is that we can remove the non-blowback pellet versions. I'll show you a picture. We've got the Umarex pellet version there, the Colt Government in .177 pellet, and we can remove that because it's not a single action trigger. It's non-blowback because of the way that the slide works. It works like other similar kind of revolver, really, Umarex sort of pellet guns, and it's non-field strippable, so not really accurate in terms of being a replica from a kind of a functionality point of view. So we can remove that from the list. Another pellet version is the Dan Wesson Valor, which there's a few different versions of that depending on who they're sort of licensed by. That's got a better magazine system, I would say, or certainly in terms of it looking like a normal kind of semi-auto magazine, or automatic magazine, whichever way you want to call it. it's got revolving sort of cylinders at the top and bottom. I mean, I would say for the Umarex, the 8 shots offered is kind of more authentic. It kind of goes in line with the sort of 7 or 8 shots that you would typically get from a traditional sort of 1911 style pistol. But that disc magazine is kind of off-putting, along with the double action and the lack of blowback. So they're lovely guns, don't get me wrong. And if you've got one in your collection, you're very lucky. You know, they are lovely, particularly the Umarex. They're built to a very high standard. But from a functionality perspective, I'm going to have to rule those out. And then there's a couple of others that I'd have to rule out from a different perspective. And that is that there are other sort of inaccuracies. So you've got the Colt Special Combat here, lovely pistol, very bling bling. It's got some nice markings and everything. You've seen this before if you've seen the channel before. But you've got this kind of tab on the bottom of the magazine, which is a bit of a shame. I'm glad we've moved away from those onto the Allen key or Allen wrench or hex screw or whatever you want to call it. But as I've said before, the big problem with this one is the trigger. That's not a 1911 style trigger. So as much as it's a nice pistol, and if you like the look of that and that turns you on, you're going to want to get hold of one of those. It's not an accurate copy of a 1911, so that can't stay in the list. Unfortunately, nice to have in the collection, but it wouldn't be the one I would buy if I was only buying one. Similarly with the SIG Spartan here, another gorgeous looking replica. Shoots really well, nice power to that, full blowback and everything. Well, not a full distance blowback, but it does blow back, does kick in your hand. And again, that's a beautiful looking pistol. And if you can pick one of these up, I recommend you do. They're really good. But you've got that magazine that is plastic and kind of slim, let's say. So again, it's not, you know, when you're out shooting it, you want to be careful with that. You don't want to snap it and drop it and stand on it or whatever. So it's a shame because again, that's a lovely gun, but not quite accurate in terms of a replica. So that leaves the list also. Now you've got the Remington that I showed you before. You've got the RAC, which is one of my first, if not my first pistol. I think this was the first, I think. But it's not very bling. It's nice. It's kind of my workhorse. You know, it's often shot that, and I still love it to this day. But it's not what I would call remarkable in terms of the way it looks. And you've got that little novel there to read on the other side. So I'm going to take that off the list and out of the running as well. And I'm going to put 3 in front of you that I think fit the bill from all areas. So let's have a look at those 3. First of all, we've got this one. That's the mil-spec, the Springfield Armory mil-spec that I sort of showed you on the last video. We've also got the SIG Emperor Scorpion there. And I know you'll all be screaming if this isn't on the list, especially if my viewers in the United States. This is the SIG We the People edition. So all 3 of these fit the bill, and this is going to be our starting point. So we can quickly rule out a couple of elements. What is its intended purpose? What do you want that 1911 for? If you're only going to buy one, what are you buying it for? Are you buying it for the ability to shoot it in your back garden or at a range or at tin cans or whatever it is? Because if that's what you want it for, you want it just for going out and shooting, all 3 of these will do that. In terms of functionality, well, I want to be able to field strip it. I want to be able to take it apart, and I want to be able to sort of drop the mag out like that and wrap the slide. I want to make sure that the grip safety works accurately and everything does what I want it to do. Is it can I cock it? Is it going to lock back after the last shot? All of those things. All 3 of these guns will do all of that. You can cock them. There's no mag in there. You'll find out why later. But yeah, they all work the same. You can cock them, shoot them. They're all functionality wise, they're all identical in that you can field strip them all. You can cock them how you should properly. The hammers work. The grip safety works. The safety, the takedown lever and all that. It all works properly. So they all tick that box as well. So maybe you're buying it for a different reason. Maybe it's for ornamental reasons or for display or whatever. I don't know about you, but I think these all look really nice, and I would be happy with one of them or all of them on display around my house, or in a room or whatever. If that was what I was into, and displaying my guns like that, these are all pretty lovely to look at. I mean, I would instantly go to the We the People edition SIG there, because there's so much about it that is kind of eye-catching. You've got all the stars on the grip there. You've got where is it now? Where are you? Yeah, it's just that I couldn't see it because of the camera here. I don't know if you can pick that up. But you've got stars, that ring of stars there on the top of the slide. And you've got the 1776 there. Nice SIG markings. We the People on that side. Shame about that stuff. But there's a lot to look at there. That's really nice. Again, with the Emperor Scorpion. That's a handsome looking, sort of more military style gun. So if you wanted to display one, that would be completely understandable. Even the mil-spec here, it's got those, where is it now? There you go. Sort of Springfield Armory logo there, etched into the slide itself. And all three of them have lovely sort of bespoke grips, you might say. Springfield Armory there, obviously, as I pointed out, the stars on the We the People, and some great SIG grips there on the Emperor Scorpion. So lots to enjoy looking at there. So what was point two? Well, point two was about having that single stage, single action trigger, and all three of these have that. You can't just pull the trigger and the hammer push itself back and then engage and fire the gun. You have to pull the hammer back, engage that grip safety, make sure your slide safety is off, and then the gun will fire. It has to be cocked, and then you get that lovely sort of horizontal plane of movement in that single action trigger. And again, all three of these guns give you that sort of accurate feeling of shooting the single action 1911. Point three was about the floating barrel. We're going to have to be a bit lenient with that. These do have the barrel. You can strip them, you can take the barrel out, and the barrel is kind of loose in there for you to take out. It's not attached as such, so it's not a fixed barrel, but it's not really a floating barrel either. When you rack the slide, you don't see any tilt on that barrel. So as far as I can tell, and again, I'm not a gunsmith, I don't know everything about this stuff. I think that's not a true floating barrel design. I think it's just a kind of non-fixed barrel, if you will. So we'll give it a pass there because they're doing so well in all the other categories. Point four then, universal parts-ish. Yeah, because these three are all KWC manufactured 1911 style pistols. So to that end, a lot of the parts are very similar. Obviously, these grips are different, okay? And obviously, these slides all look different. But you can move them around. They are interchangeable. In fact, I've got a couple of examples of that. So if I take these off the table, just for a second, don't worry, they will be coming back. And I'll show you that pistol there. That's the Swiss Arms MRP, military rail pistol. Very similar looking to a Kimber, very similar sort of Kimber style grips there, Kimber Warrior, or Desert Warrior maybe you could call it. It's a very pale sort of tan, but when this came with the barrel bushing here was kind of a silvery sort of finish, a dull silver, and the actual barrel there was kind of a chrome finish. So very similar, well, identical really, to the chrome barrel in the mil-spec and the sort of silver bushing at the end there. So that's how the MRP came. But I wasn't keen on it. I didn't quite like it. And because I'm quite a big fan of the sort of the contrast. Apologies, I just lost my camera because it tipped over. Where was I? Oh yeah, because I'm quite a big fan of that sort of style pistol, that sort of the Sig Emperor Scorpion there, and I like the fact that everything contrasts, and you've got the two colour, the black on the sort of, I don't know if that's full dark earth or coyote brown or whatever you want to call it, but I quite like that. So I wanted to emulate it on this pistol as well. So I wanted the black in there and then the black on the end. So they are from the Remington RAC tactical version, which is essentially exactly the same pistol, all the same grooves, all the same serrations, same grip style. It's just in black. In fact, you can get a Swiss Arms 1911 sort of tactical, exactly the same as this, but it's, you know, it's black basically, and they don't cost the earth either, these. But I'd already got the black sort of Remington one. The Swiss Arms, if you fancy it, I don't think it's got all the horrific white writing that the Remington has. I don't have the Remington out to show you today, but you'll see if you go back through my sort of catalogue of reviews, this is the same pistol as the Remington RAC TAC. So I took the black barrel out of that one, and I took the black barrel bushing off that one and put it on this one. So to that end, we do kind of have universal parts. I'm going to put him back there because I think he's better looking. Speaking of better looking, let's put Mr. 1776 there as well. Now, although these are all built on the same platform, they're all these, like I said, KWC 1911s. They all do feel quite different in the hand, as different as, you know, varying 1911s can feel. This feels a bit chunkier, I think, because it's got that. I guess it's got it feels like a weightier slide. It feels like a chunkier gun. This obviously has kind of serrations on the front of the grip there as well, which give you a slightly different feel to, let's say, the mil-spec here, which is a bit smoother, a bit more classic kind of feeling. And obviously this is the A1. So again, it's got a bit of a deeper sort of heft to the grip there. So again, that feels different. They've all got that lovely, beautifully angled grip that you get on the 1911. It's so sort of instinctive, such a natural angle to hold a pistol at. We the People, obviously you've got this, everything is metal on this, to the point that even the grips are metal as well, and those stars, although they look like they could be quite uncomfortable, it's great to hold. So, but they all do, as I said before, all feel very differently. So I guess if you're in the market for one of these guns, it'd be worth trying to get a hold of one, because if it's the only one you're going to buy, you want it to sort of hit or tick as many of your boxes as possible. What is something that we don't always consider? Well, I don't know about you, but for me, let's just say that, I'll let you all off the hook. For me, sometimes these work as kind of stress relief toys. They're not toys, but you know what I mean. You know, it's quite a tactile hobby. It's quite, you know, everybody's into their ASMR these days. But yeah, just dropping everything. You know, racking that slide and hearing it, all the clicks and everything. You know, again, just pushing that back and then letting it roll into place. How do they all sound? These all sound. That, for me, that sounds nicer than. Now I do it, that sounds better. Let's try it with the. Again, that feels really good. There's a really good spring in that one. Really good weight to the. What's that bit called? Slide. Thank you. So they all feel great. They all sound great. Yeah, there's not much in it. I don't even know if you're picking it up. This might be the most annoying video to watch or listen to. It might just sound really tinny on the video, so I might have to invest in a microphone. But sound-wise, you're going to get a really satisfying clunk or click or chunk or whatever you want to call it when you're shooting that, and that's that recoiling, and when you're cocking it and letting off a round, it's going to be really satisfying regardless of which gun you pick up. Even if it's this one, even if it's the standard, as I would call it, Remington 1911 RAC, it's the A1 basically. But even if it's this one that you go for, it's the same deal. They're just great great things to hold and great things to sort of, I don't want to say play with in your hand, but to manipulate in your hand, I guess we'll go with that. And when it comes to cost or price, everybody's got, everybody's feeling the pinch, and everybody's got different means and different salaries and wages, and it is an expensive hobby to have. So if you are going to just buy one, I would really consider going for one of the cheaper ones. If I mean, depending on budget, depending on what you like. But if it's just going to be a workhorse and you're just going to be outside with it or inside and shooting and whatever, this is, I think it cost me when I got it, maybe 120 quid. These are pretty cheap compared to something like that. All of these are upwards of like 150 quid. That is going to be below, as is the Swiss Arms there. These are quite reasonably priced. I don't know if it's because people don't want them because of things like that horrific white writing, but if it's to shoot, if it's just to shoot some targets or put some cans down, who cares about that? It does exactly the same thing as all of these. And if you've got the time and the inclination, you can remove all of that. You can get rid of all of that. There's 100 different ways of doing it. Loads of different forums and groups and videos about how to do that. If it really bothers you, you might just sort of think, with something like that, I don't want to start mucking about with my gun particularly. I don't want to start kind of messing about with that, trying to remove it. It doesn't bother me that greatly, especially on the We the People there. It's quite subtle with the colour of the pistol. But yeah, you don't have to get one of these more expensive ones. You're going to be really happy with something like that if that's what your budget allows, or if you're saving up a bit more, you could go for one of these. Doesn't mean that they're going to shoot any better. Doesn't mean you're going to get any more CO2 for your money. That's all sort of by the by. It's something and nothing. They're all pretty much functionality-wise, they're all pretty much the same. Having said that, if you do pick one of these up, these have been around a lot longer than any of these. So what you might find is, if you get a Remington like this, you get a magazine like that, which when you pull the follower back, it'll stay there, but there's no hole cut for putting BBs in. So if you get a more modern one, let me have a look at this one. I think this is from the... Literally just knocked my camera over again. I think this is from the Springfield Armory, and it's very similar, as you can see, pretty much identical. But what they started to do was cut these round holes so you can put your BBs in a bit easier without having to hold it. I mean, the thing is, it'll stay back, right, like that, and then you get your BBs ready, but then you've got to pull it a little bit further back to drop them in there. Okay, rather than with the newer ones, when it stays back behind that hole. Okay, so that's what you're going to get on one of the newer ones. If you've got more than one, then they're interchangeable between the guns, so you're probably more likely to use that one. But some of you might go, I don't care, that's fine, it's not a big deal. If I can save 30, 40, 50 quid, I'll hold it back. It's not a problem to me. So that's, just something to be aware of. Other things to be aware of, yeah, if you get a more basic model, it's not because it's basic, because it's less good. It's just this is a replica of a far older version of the 1911. So because of that, you're not going to get white dots. You're going to get more sort of vintage style sights, and that might make your sight picture a little bit more tricky than one of the more modern replicas. Again, if you're buying it just for as again a workhorse for going out shooting, you want to be able to have a decent set of sights on it. For as accurate as they are, they're not that accurate. And even as I'm saying that, in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, but there's something quite nice about the sort of traditional, just getting that front sight post. Can I do it on camera? Struggling. Getting that front sight post between that sort of notch at the back and going, right, well, this is let's see how good a shot I am. And even as I'm saying that, I'm thinking, well, these guns aren't the guns to use if you want to see how good a shot you are, because they're shooting through a smoothbore barrel, they're shooting BBs. If it's accuracy you're really after, these aren't probably the guns for you. Now, the thing is, with the three that I've put on the table, these are the top three, I would say, in my collection. These are my three favourite, but you'll see they're drastically different in their styles. You know, the Emperor Scorpion here is very sort of a military tactical look. You've got these broad serrations, you've got the rail underneath, skeletonized trigger, skeletonized hammer. You've got this lovely sort of beaver tail there. This is slightly different because it's got that sort of external, I think it's extractor. Do you call it an extractor rod or extractor, something like that? So that's got that sort of stuff going on for it. It's a far more, as I said before, tactical, military-looking sort of gun than the mil-spec. The reason I particularly like this, as I said in the previous video, is because of the sort of smooth profile of it, because it does feel very traditional, like a sort of more an older style sort of 1911 A1, but with, you know, a couple of modern bits to it. I mean, the We the People is a very good combination of old and new. It's not got the rail on it. It feels quite classic looking, and because of this sort of weathered effect metal, it feels like an old gun. And it hasn't got the serrations at the front there, but it does have quite broad serrations at the back. It does have a similar skeletonized trigger and hammer to the Emperor Scorpion, and it does have those black sort of 3-dot Novak sort of style sights there, and the beaver tail. So that's a really nice pistol in terms of old and new. A bit more classic looking, but it's got all the sort of modern, what's the word, accoutrement, dare we say it. That's so lovely though, so classic looking, that mil-spec. So the long and short of it is, dependent on what sort of style you want, I can't say that one is better than the other. I can say that I like all three of these styles, but currently I'm favouring the mil-spec. And I guess that's the answer in terms of my favourite. Today, it's the mil-spec. But tomorrow, it might well be the Scorpion. And then the day after that, it could even be the We the People. This was my favourite for a very long time. But I truly believe you'll be happy if you bought any one of these pistols. You'll be happy as long as you manage your expectations around accuracy. You know, I said before, it's a smoothbore barrel shooting BBs. It's not a pellet gun. There's no rifling in the barrel. So as long as you manage your expectation about what the gun is capable of in terms of shooting, I think you'll be really happy with handling, you know, loading, shooting, racking the slide, field stripping these guns. I think either one of these three, or even the Remington, or even the Swiss Arms, will make you very, very happy. They're really, really enjoyable guns to use. Plus, there's always another one around the corner. Every few months, they seem to come out with a different one. Now, I'm aware that there will be those of you going, well, neither of those do anything for me. They're just not the sort of look that I'm going for in a gun or in a 1911 if I were to only have one. So, just to play devil's advocate, let me put a couple more on the table while we're at it for your consideration. And these are both very handsome guns indeed. So what you've got here is the Swiss Arms TRS Tactical Rail System and the Swiss Arms SSP stainless 70s pistol or something like that. This is the 70s design, and this is the sort of more tactical design. If you're looking for something a bit more bling, then these might be for you. Both lovely pistols, both very similar. They've got that sort of brushed steel down the slide there, and that kind of almost like a parkerized finish on the top there and on the lower frame. I've put some different grip screws in that one. Or in fact, actually, this comes with the barrel in this one is kind of like this sort of finish, and I didn't like it. I wanted it to have the sort of the chrome finish that you get in the more tactical version. I thought it was a good contrast. So this is actually the barrel from this beast. You know, so I took that out because it was chrome. So the barrel from this went in there, and the barrel from here, I think, is in my Remington 1911 RAC TAC. Yeah, so I've moved them all around. The barrel from the Remington is in here. Moved them all around a bit. So because I wanted these two to be kind of almost like a matching set. This is the old school. This is the new school, if you will. I mean, it's not particularly modern design, but that is, again, exactly the same gun as that. Apart from the grips, it's the same serrations, front and back, same Novak style sort of sights, same trigger, same hammer. And to that end, this is pretty much the same gun as the mil-spec. The mil-spec doesn't have a sort of lanyard loop on the bottom of the grip there, like the 70s stainless one does. But apart from that, they're very similar. This has the more traditional style sights. So actually, what I'd probably be better saying is that is actually pretty much the same as the Remington. That's got the lanyard loop there, and you can see, looking at them, the same sights as well. But yeah, perhaps when you're picking out your 1911, maybe those are more to your taste. Something a bit more bling, a bit more classy. You know, especially if you've just got the one, I'd be really tempted with something like that. That's a beautiful looking pistol. Give that a little rack. Gorgeous, gorgeous pistol. Or maybe you want to put a torch on it, so you'd go for the more tactical look there. Maybe you want the white dot sights, so you go for the tactical. Maybe you want ambidextrous. I mean, you're left-handed. You want an ambidextrous safety. You're not going to get that on this one, or some of the more classic-looking ones. So you go for the tactical version there. So it's a good question, and I'm glad it was asked. And thank you for that. As I said, you know, a few people have said, which is your favourite, or if you had to just go for one, which would it be? Right now, it's that. It's the Springfield Armory mil-spec 1911, released certainly in the UK by Air Venturi. There is something to be said for just having one. Obviously, I'm spoiled for choice. I'm very fortunate. I've got a few of these lovely guns. But if I was going for one, I'd go for the one that resembles what I like about the 1911 most. Something that is an extension of my personality, something that I think is true to what I love about that iconic gun. And for me, certainly right now, this is it. And I wanted this for a long time. And I'm so glad I picked one up. So the Springfield for me is everything I love about the 1911. It's classic looking. It's got that black classic finish. Some lovely details on this one. It's got those faux wood grips, contrasting chrome style barrel. There's no rails on the front. It feels like, as I said in my previous video, kind of like a tool. I love the smooth feel of it, but it's got some lovely white dot sights, and it's lovely to shoot. I haven't shot it a lot actually, because I've not had it very long. But for me, if I was just going to pick one, I'd pick that. But what a great problem to have. Shall we just have a quick look at what they look like when they're in action? We'll start with the Emperor Scorpion. Got a bit of CO2 there in the Emperor Scorpion mag, so put a bit of that in. We'll give it a little rack. It's not loaded, so we have to do that. And we'll hold this down and show you how it shoots. Let's do that again. Lovely pop to that. Let's drop that out of there. We'll keep the same mag, and as we showed you before, where are we? Let's get the We the People in here. Same mag, fits right in there. Give that a little cock. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's drop that out of there. Keep the same mag. Pop it in the Springfield. give it a rack. All sound pretty much exactly the same, don't they? Let's take it out of there. Who else wants to go? Let's give Mr. 70s Stainless a quick crack of the whip, shall we? Very good, he's had his turn. Yeah, let's give Mr. MRP a quick go, shall we? Again, same magazine. In it goes. Give him a quick rack, and then great. Look back after the last shot, or if you take your hand off the slide stop there. Beautiful. Who else hasn't had a go? Well, let's not forget where it all began. Sorry about all the white writing. Should we do it that way this time? Yeah. Oh, mind you, it's going to be hard for me to hold that stop back. I'll do it this way. Give it a rack. Give it a shoot. Beautiful. Beautiful guns. That's one of the standout points about the Emperor Scorpion. It's got that extended mag. Most of the others look kind of like that. I didn't answer your question, did I? It's too hard to answer. I'm so sorry. Get one of those or get one of the others. Whichever you get, you're going to really love it. Thanks very much for watching. All of you, take care. Stay safe. All the best. Bye.